a suit and tie and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
I've got a real good one for you, and I've got some lines free as well. And guess what? Today, as part of our Legal Talkback, we've got prizes. I'm giving away a prize. In fact, I'm giving away 3 of them. 1300 222 774. This is what the prize sounds like if you drop it. That's it. It's a big prize. What am I holding, David Whiting?
You're holding the 2021 edition of the Law Handbook, and it's 1,200 pages of, or 1,224 pages of I can say a summary of the law in 1,200 pages sounds wrong, but it's easily written in plain English, has chapters, has templates for powers of attorney and wills and all sorts of things.
It's got all the sort of detail that you bring to us. In fact, this book, David Whiting, this book, it does you out of a job.
Okay, well, it can sit here next week, right?
No. Sit right down. Don't you go anywhere, mate. Yes, I've got 3 copies of the Law Handbook 2021 edition to give away. And so I'd love to hear from you if you'd like to receive one. I'm getting some feedback here in the studio. I am indeed. What happened? Something strange.
That's what happened because you dropped the book.
I dropped the book and I broke something.
You ruined the desk.
Is that what I did? I broke the desk. Yeah, I did. All right. Look, I'll just keep going. But there certainly is something weird going on
Con
here.
will be in shortly.
He'll be in shortly. 1300 222 774 is the number if you'd like some legal advice. The Law Handbook will go, these 3 copies, to the best 3 calls.
I think you should choose them as they go, because otherwise we'll need to capture everybody's name and details.
Right.
You know?
Okay, well, at the end of each call, you'll adjudicate. You'll give me a decision as to whether the call was good enough to earn this. Now, before we go any further, though, and grab a slot on the open line, and we'll get to your questions. I want to clarify something. Just before the news, we had a caller who wanted to talk about a tweet that she said was put out by the Liberal federal MP Tim Wilson. I cautioned her and said a lot of this stuff can be fake and can be easily dollied up, and then before you know it, it's gone out like wildfire. It's created a false impression. The tweet that she mentioned, and I'm not going to read it out, is fake. It did not come out from the proper Twitter account of Tim Wilson, so forget about that. So look, just be careful, guys. If you see something out there that strikes you as absolutely outrageous, it's not always wrong, because there really is some outrageous stuff that's said, but sometimes it can be. Check and double check, and you can see very clearly that that's not his proper account for the tweet that is still apparently out there and circulating. That's the number, 1300 222 774. Did we have homework?
We did. We had a lady who rang from Mornington about a election for the Committee of Management for her retirement village, and she wanted to vet the ballot papers. And she was adamant that it was a prescribed document that she was entitled to look at. In fact, she sent me an email on Tuesday afternoon saying, oops, I've gone and had a look and I've spoken to the manager, and the manager tells me that the manager of the retirement village, and it's not a prescribed document. So there are prescribed documents. They're essentially financial paperwork, but it's not that one.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
And anything else to deal with?
No.
Okay. Just before Jules turns down your headphones, yes, that's right.
No, the problem was I had the other set of headphones and turned them up. We're now going to disconnect them.
I see. That might be the thing causing the problem, because what I could hear was like sound leaking out from somewhere else, and that often is the other pair of headphones.
Yes,
so that might sort it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're getting on top of our technical problems here. It's a challenge sometimes, but we will get there. Where shall we start? Do you like a fence dispute?
Oh, there's a section on fences in the handbook.
I like a fence dispute. Well, when I say like, I don't mean like, well, you know what I mean. Sri in Box Hill, good morning.
Yes, good morning. We got a fence at the back, which we sort of recently partly shared with a neighbour. And suddenly what happened was they have raised another fence behind that. To a height of about 2.2 meters. It's a colour bond fence for the pool there. and it's a dark colour and it looks ugly from our side. It's about 1 foot up above the existing fence, and they said they've got the plans and everything from the council. So can I sort of dispute saying that it's not? It looks ugly and from our side, because especially in the entertaining area.
Well, you could put something in front of it if you wanted to, Sri. If my thoughts were that they might not have had a permit. You don't require, as a general proposition, a permit to construct a fence on a boundary line, but if you're constructing something new inside a boundary line, you do. So you might go and visit council and see if there's a permit there. You might have a discussion with them about whether it's possible to put something in front of your fence, or like on top of the existing fence, like a trellis. The difficulty will be is that there are safety standards relating to swimming pools to restrict the ability to get access. And my initial reaction is that while I like the idea of the aesthetics of a trellis, it might render the colour-bond fence ineffective. So look and see what might be done to change it. Your issue might be colour. It might be possible they might let you paint the top of it. Yeah. At that side.
Would that do it?
Yeah, that'd be all right. Yep. No,
so that's what start the discussion is at that level.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And keep it friendly. Neighbours. Always stay friendly with them. Sri in Box Hill, thank you so much. Malcolm in Geelong, good morning. What's going on?
Good morning, David and Virginia. Thanks for taking my call. Look, late last year we booked some accommodation in New South Wales to sort of escape from the lockdown, and so we were forced. So it was booked for January this year, and we were forced to cancel that at the last minute. And look, the provider.
I ask, Malcolm? Yes? The question is, why were you forced to cancel it?
Oh, well, look, when
I know we had COVID.
Yep.
I mean, I too booked a trip to Queensland, and my problem was that the Victorian government wouldn't let me out on the day I wanted to go, and the Queensland government would say, "Oh, look, you're quite welcome, but we're going to put you up in a hotel in Brisbane for 2 weeks when you arrive." So I didn't go. Why did you not go?
That was our fear too. We thought, well, look, we're not going to be able to get back and we'll get stuck up there. So, look. Anyway, look, we've asked for either a refund less the booking fee or to reschedule, and the provider just refuses to talk to us and has been quite rude in the emails back to my wife, who's been trying to negotiate it.
Malcolm,
do we have any redress?
But Malcolm, what you've told me is you chose not to go.
True.
So I would be asking, if the accommodation space was still there and still available for you, and you chose not to go, that's not the provider's fault. If, on the other hand, the provider was able to rent it to somebody else, then you would come along and say, well, I do think you owe me something because you haven't suffered the loss you said you've suffered.
Yeah, well, and he was able to re-let it. Not for the full time, because we booked it for 7 days. But
yes.
And we just thought, look, it's just that he's just been quite, rude about it and not offering even to sort of allow some, a future...
A concession. Like Malcolm, Queensland Administrative Tribunal, like our VCAT, you could issue a claim there. My view would be that once he's come along and the deal is he's not supposed to be worse off, but he shouldn't make money as part of the deal.
Yeah.
So he's been able to rent what was rented for you. My view is you should get some money back.
All right, good luck with that. Let's get Andrew in Ballarat. Andrew, what's happening?
Going through a divorce, it's all really horrible.
We missed the beginning there, Andrew. Start again.
Yeah. So going through a divorce, it's all horrible. The lawyers are handling the big stuff, the house and the assets and everything like that. But when the ex-partner left, she took a cookbook, which I want a photocopy of, and no one really cares about it, so the lawyers don't really care about it. I want it, she won't provide it. How do I go about getting it?
All right, back up. What's the cookbook?
The cookbook is a collection of crappy recipes that we've collected over the years from out of Women's Weekly magazine and just grandma's family
Oh,
Christmas
so it's like a joke cookbook you compile together of the worst recipes that you could find.
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It wasn't joke recipes. It
Oh.
was just just the stuff that you collected.
Yeah.
All this stuff is easily replaceable. But I want a copy of it.
No, look, I've got a precious collection of those things pulled out from magazines as well. If I lost them, I think I'd be bereft. So you just want a copy of it.
I want a copy of it.
You're happy for her to have the original.
Happy to have the original. Just want a photocopy.
I just need to let you know, Andrew, you have absolutely won a law handbook. There's no question. It's yours. But David, what's the answer?
Try something lateral, Andrew. Oh, look, the answer is you're going to be spending a lot more money in court time on the cookbook than you are on anything else.
Maybe it's the one that matters.
Why don't you see if it's possible for you and your partner, ex-partner, to agree on someone who could do the photocopying?
Yeah,
Right?
tried all.
Not you, because I wouldn't trust you. But
Yeah, no,
somebody
don't
else
blame
might.
you.
You've tried all that, have you, Andrew?
Been through all that. Yeah. It's just so nasty that we're just
Then it's a question of how bloody minded you want to be.
in the tens of thousands. It looks like. So,
Yes.
Really,
But-
you're prepared to make this fight over the book? This is the one,
hill
is
I
it?
die on. This is the one I die on. Yeah.
This is the
This-
hill
this
you'll
is the
die on.
crux.
No, well, so I've got the kids, and the kids want it, and all that kind of stuff. So what do I do? What do I do?
Well, that's the answer, but I'd rather you spent the 10 grand on the kids than the cookbook, quite frankly.
Yeah. I
There
know.
is that, Andrew.
And Andrew, if you're looking for an interesting cookbook, the American Bar Association celebrated 100 years.
Yeah.
So they went and asked Justice Ginsburg and Hillary Clinton and all these kinds of people for recipes.
I just give
And-
up, David. I don't think this is going to work for you.
And it's available for download. There's a lot of I would
Andrew-
have thought if
Is
I
there a
wanted to
VCAT
promote 100
option?
years of the American Bar Association, I would have done
Andrew's
it with a bloody
asking if
cookbook.
there's VCAT options.
Is there any option?
No
There's
VCAT
nothing.
option. No.
This is
You're
all
in the
part of
family
the
court.
dispute. This is
Yep.
the
That's where he is.
estate dispute. Okay, all
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Okay.
Andrew, maybe you start your own compilation with the kids.
Yeah. That's what we'll do. We'll
Start
we'll
from
start
start
afresh.
from scratch.
And start visiting opportunity shops for old copies of the Women's Weekly cookbooks.
What's the worst recipe in the collection?
Anything that she put in it, I guess.
Oh.
Well, I wouldn't give it to you either.
Yeah, no, watch it. You're losing our sympathy fast, and you might even lose the book. Andrew, all I can say is just be as nice as you possibly can, and then be even more nice when you think you've reached the end of your niceness. I've put you on hold. Katrina will talk to you, and you're a winner of that copybook, which I will no longer drop because I'm scared of what it does. Okay, it's a dangerous book, that one, David.
It is, isn't it?
No one told me that.
You'd stub your toe on it very
All right,
easily.
Josh is in Lilydale. Good morning, Josh.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for answering my call.
No worries.
I paid for a course pre-COVID, but because of COVID, it's no longer suitable, and they won't give me a refund.
Describe. So, what was the course for, Josh?
It was for becoming a coach, a coaching course.
A
Like a
sporting
certificate
coach.
3 or a certificate 4 course, or
And it was because of COVID, they tried to do it online, but I just couldn't follow it, so therefore I asked for a refund.
and they ceased to offer the course that you wanted. Is that right?
They only offered it online, not in person, which I
Then,
was
then
hoping to
I
do.
would say, Josh, that you're entitled to a refund because they stopped providing.
Right.
Right.
I've gone to VCAT.
Yes.
And because of COVID, they weren't able to get my submission, and therefore they dismissed my application.
What do you mean not able to get your submission? Does that mean you put the submission in late? What does it mean?
I put a written submission to VCAT,
Yes.
and they explained that because I couldn't follow up on my original submission, that they couldn't proceed the application.
So they didn't do anything with your application?
That's right. They did nothing with it.
There's a process about Section 112 of the Act that talks about applications for relisting, and you might have a look at that. But if you've already been to VCAT and you can't revive the application, you've got nowhere to go.
Oh, okay.
Right? You can appeal against a decision at VCAT. You can seek a review of a decision at VCAT on the basis of an error of law. But look, put aside 15 to 20 grand for the process, which
The-
is
the money's
probably more
actually-
than the cost of the...
Yeah, it is more than the cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be doing it.
All right. That might be where we have to leave that one. Good luck. Kate is calling in from Ivanhoe. What's happening, Kate?
Oh, hi, Michael. Hi, Virginia. I've got a tricky one.
It's not Michael. It's David. David
Oh,
Whiting.
David, sorry, David. My dad passed away in December 2019. Probate was passed, but the assets haven't been able to be realised because one of Dad's houses is in dispute by their second wife. Now, there were 3 wives. The third wife is the executor of Dad's estate, but the second wife has put a caveat on one of the houses, which isn't the marital home.
Okay. The house is owned by wife 1, wife 2 or wife 3?
Well, that's the complication.
Sorry. Who's the executor of the house?
The executor.
Sorry, who's the executor of the estate?
The third wife.
Okay. In whose name is the house that Yep.
It's in a company name, which Dad put it into.
And who owns the shares in the company?
He and a friend of his.
All right. And what is the basis of the claim being made by wife 1 or wife 2?
Wife 2 says that she is owed money from the property settlement from their marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
Then she doesn't have unless the property settlement charged this house with the obligation to make the payment, she doesn't have a caveatable interest.
Well,
there's a process in Section 89 capital A of the Transfer of Land Act.
Right.
So if you can get a solicitor to file a declaration that says wife number 2 does not have the estate or interest claimed in the caveat, then one of 2 things will happen. The caveat will lapse, or she will issue Supreme Court proceedings to enforce the caveat.
Okay.
But what you might like to consider is whether or not she's in fact owed money.
Yes.
Because she might well be a creditor of the estate if your father did not fulfil his final financial obligations under an order in her favour.
Yes, we have some material on that which shows that Dad fulfilled it by about 90% of what she was owed.
Well, she might be entitled to the balance plus some interest.
Yeah, we're still working with lawyers, but it's incredibly upsetting.
Oh, no, yes. I get that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
David, by the way, I used to work at Fitzroy Legal Service, so hands up for a law handbook.
Oh, look, they're fantastic. They absolutely are. I have a whole row of them at the office.
Well, if you work there, then you
They're
can't
just
get
getting
one.
bigger.
We can't give you one because clearly you've got an inside running there. But nice to hear from you. Thanks for calling in, Kate. Phil is calling from Callista. What's happening there, Phil?
Well, I've got the tenant who decided to move out in August and trying to put a claim in VCAT against returning the bond. They left in August and the tenancy agreement don't expire to January 24th this year.
Yes.
And so we spend a lot of money cleaning up the property, and the tenant actually submitted.
So at the same time that your tenant is making an application for a refund of the bond, you're entitled to make an application to VCAT for the bond to be applied in relation to those payments.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Yes,
okay.
you can go and say, look, I want an order that the bond be paid to me because I've gone and spent all this money putting the property back on the market and bringing it up to the condition it was when the tenant moved in. When the tenant,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't. I'm glad to say that. But can we still apply to VCAT now?
Yes, absolutely. Well, presumably the bond is still with the bond authority and it hasn't been taken.
No, the bond is still with the agent.
Well, the agent gives it to an entity called the bond authority. So you make an application to VCAT for the bond to be spent on those items, and you have your argument with the tenant at the same time. So you come along and say, I'm claiming the bond because, and the tenant says, I'm claiming the bond because, and then we have the argument.
All right, Phil, good luck. We hope that goes well. So many texts coming in following our discussion with Andrew about the collection of recipes.
Yes.
And some very, very sage advice. May I just take a moment to read some out? Hi, Virginia. I feel for Andrew, but this isn't the hill to die on. You can start a whole new book with the kids, track down the recipes. I don't know. It then goes on to a very random comment, so I'll leave that there. VT, the man with the cookbook scrapbook just needs to suddenly say, I'm not going to chase you for that anymore. Use it with kindness and joy. Don't bring it up again, and it will drive her mad, says another. Oh dear, I don't advise that strategy either. And this suggestion, speaking from experience, says one who's gone through clearly a difficult divorce. Ask listeners to send in their best recipes for Andrew. He needs to start a new cookbook and move on. And I think I endorse that. What do you say?
How are you going to be able to cope with all the mail?
Oh, no, they don't send it to me.
Well, they said send it in, was it they said?
No, but not the clearinghouse here. Yeah,
okay, so haven't you got your
you're
Mrs.
right. You're right
Beekmans at
about
home?
that. You're right about the mail problem. My goodness me. Hans in Castlemaine, what's happening?
Oh, good morning, and thank you for this session. I'm speaking about some problems with a not-for-profit incorporated community-based organisation that's breaching the rules and the Constitution.
No names here, please, Hans.
Sorry?
No names.
No, I'm absolutely sure that I shouldn't do that.
Okay, but you want to be able to do something about it, do you?
Yeah, we've just a couple of examples. We've got a refusal to allow inspection of register of members. We've got a delayed AGM, but we've got a call for nominations and vetting of nominations, but we don't actually have an AGM date, and a statement that no nominations will be accepted at the AGM, despite that being contrary to the rules. And the final one that I'll just mention is...
Just quickly, yeah.
Invoking confidentiality to hide decision-making processes. It's just chronic that nobody can find out.
So what do you want to do
why don't you take over? Why don't you call your own meeting? If you look at the Associations Incorporation Reform Act and the rules of the association, you will have the right to call a general meeting, and you can air your grievances.
Well, the difficulty there is, it goes back to that first issue, nobody has been able to see the register of members. So you need 10% to call a special meeting, and nobody knows what it's 10% of and who the members are, because they're refusing to allow...
There is a process, and I'm not sure whether it's the courts or the VCAT, for you to obtain an order against the association for access to the register.
Right.
So I shall let you know what that is next week. All right?
Okay.
Excellent. We'll let you know. So tune in next week.
Haven't we got a book to give away yet?
Oh, no, we haven't finished yet.
I'm sorry, I'm not rushing you.
I've got 2 books to give away, so I'm going to have to give them away next. I think that's sort of, really...
Yeah,
the competition's pretty much over, isn't it? Amanda in Footscray, what's happening?
Oh, hello. Thank you so much. David, I want to know, is there anything I can do about a campaign of intimidation that we're being subjected to by some neighbours? It's a matter of, they're blocking our driveways, they're intercepting our mail. We have a lock on the mailbox. Christmas cards were ripped from the letterbox and strewn on the footpath. There's rubbish constantly strewn on our nature strip and thrown over the fence. We've got firecrackers.
How do you know it's your neighbours, Amanda?
Because it only started after they sort of moved in.
Oh, yeah, let's not, it's post hoc propter hoc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amanda... I have actually caught them in the act. So.
Before I start spending money on lawyers, I'd start spending money on a camera. And why would you not put in a camera to monitor the outside of your house? And if you do find that they're doing what they're doing, I would be going to the police. And I would be seeking a personal safety intervention order.
A personal safety intervention order?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought intervention orders were mainly just for, marriage breakups and...
they are, but there's also, you could also get it between neighbours.
Amanda, so take that advice seriously and invest in that. I'll also put you on hold, and this will be helpful to you. You've won a law handbook, and I think
there is a chapter on intervention
and I think you really need that. And I think we need to hold over the 3rd copy for next week.
Thank you, Virginia.
It's called a cliffhanger.
Does that mean so you can read it during the week?
No, David, it's a cliffhanger.
Okay.
It's a tune in next week when David hands out the 3rd law book. Dun, dun, dun. Goes like that.
Okay. Thank you, Virginia. I look forward to seeing you next week.
That worked, right? Did that work?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Not well, but it worked.
I'm trying here, people. I'm trying very hard. It's 29 minutes past 10. David Whiting is leaving the studio.